by Canary. So first of all, we'll start off by introducing ourselves. For those that don't know me, Alex Wilson, owner and broker of record for remaxwealthbuilers real estate, been selling real estate in Toronto for over 11 years. In 2019, I was the #1 real estate agent in Ontario for individual transactions, number 25 in Canada, and number 80 in the world. And 2020 stats aren't out yet, so that's why we still have 2019 stats. Was inducted in the Remax Hall of Fame and awarded the Remax Lifetime Achievement Award at 35. I'm currently 39. So we're definitely experts in the Toronto market. But I've also been extremely successful with my investments. And we're going to start off talking about that just quickly today, because you got to understand why you're investing. So I started investing in real estate in 2012, and my initial investment was in a condo at Queen and Gladstone with a deposit of $39,300, and I've now turned that into a $14 million portfolio. Now, my good friend Aaron is on this call. I saw him, and he said to me the other day, he's like, "Alex, why are you still working?" Well, there's still a time equation to that $14 million portfolio, which we'll get into shortly. So I'll let Kyle introduce himself next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kyle Dovigi. So I'm a licensed sales representative, and I've been investing in real estate since 2012 as well. So I'm definitely an expert in pre-construction properties, and I own 6 properties myself, and I'm a landlord just like many of you out there as well. I previously managed Lotto 649 and Lotto Max. So this is an actual ball that was used in the lottery draws. And what I found was they did studies, and over 40% of people were actually depending on winning the lottery in order to fund their retirement. And this was mind-blowing to me. So what I wanted to do, and which is why I joined Alex to co-found Remax Wealth Builders, was to help people invest in their future instead of gambling on it. So invest in real estate, build your own pension fund. And I've been able to do that just like Alex has. I turned a deposit of about $38,000 into a real estate portfolio now worth over $4 million. And anyone can do it. You don't need to be special.
Nope, we're not special at all. Kyle's from the big metropolis of Sudbury, and I'm from a small town of Cape Real, 45 minutes north of Sudbury. We actually went to high school together. And then even just, something just popped in my head thinking about my hometown. My hometown of 4,000 people, there was a family there known as the Mazzucca's Italian family. And they were really the kings of the town. And they owned real estate in our town. They owned multiple malls in the greater Sudbury region. And I always looked up to them going, wow, like look at what wealth you guys have built. And they built their wealth through just by owning real estate. So I was exposed to it as an early age. And the funny thing was, I remember sending to my family one time because my last name's Wilson. We can actually trace our roots back all the way to the princess brides in the 1600s that were brought into Quebec to marry off to the French. And I said, "Where's our land?" As a kid, you have no filter. and they said the lawyers took it at the turn of the century. So I have no idea what that means. But that really motivated me as a child, going like, wow, we've been here for a very long time, and we really have no land to our name, like the Mazzuccas. I'm like, what's going on? So maybe that's where this bug has been instilled in me and everything like that. But I just love the idea of the ownership of real estate and owning assets and the power it can provide. Into a segue into this. So we always start our presentations with this because you got to understand why you're doing this. So I'm very transparent with my portfolio. This is my portfolio. All the properties I own. Current market value of that is just under $15 million. And I look at what that value is going to be over 30 years. And that's going to be worth $36 million in 30 years. That's at a really conservative 3% compounded interest rate. Why I show this slide again, just shows the value of buying and holding over time. And the great thing is that there is all these properties have mortgages. So that's not my gross amount or my net amount. Sorry, that's my gross amount. But over 30 years, all these properties will be paid off because they all have 30-year amortization mortgages. So by just sitting here and allowing other people to pay off my mortgages, I'm able to build substantial wealth. So Aaron, that's why I can't retire yet. I need time still. And because my background's in economics and finance, I realized $36 million in 30 years isn't $36 million today. So I'm like, well, time value, what purchasing power will that enable me today in today's dollars? And that comes out to, when I put it in Stats Canada's inflation calculator, doing it in a reverse format, get to just under $21 million. And I asked myself this year, I'm like, well, what does that actually mean? I'm like, yeah, I need cash flow in the future. That's what I'm looking for. So I said, well, what if I just applied a rate of return of 5% on that? If I were a pension fund, I'm looking at my assets. I'm like, well, what kind of rate of return is my assets providing me? So 5%, extremely conservative. People are usually looking at anywhere between 6 to 10% return on their portfolio. Let's just do 5. If I just do a 5% rate of return on my portfolio at today's value, that gives me today's purchasing power value. That gives me a salary of over $1 million per year that I could generate from that. And then because I want to protect that against inflation for my future generations so they can live off of that, I just reinvest 2% of that back in, so the principal amount's protected. And that means I can live off of $625,000 per year. Remember, this is when I'm in my retirement years. You don't need $625,000 to live off of. Mortgages are paid off. All your big expenses are paid off. Kids have gone to school, those kind of things. So it was really mind-blowing for me. I'm like, wow, I don't need to do anything anymore. My pension, I built a pension fund. It's set. It's good. It's great. And what I did then is I'm like, well, this may seem daunting to people. They're like, oh my God, I can't build a $14 million portfolio. But the thing is, I don't need $625,000 of inflation protected dollars when I'm 30 years in 30 years. So I said, well, let's take smaller bites where people can realize they can do this. So breaking down to $1 million portfolio, 2 million, 3 million. These are all achievable goals that I started out with and Kyle started out with. You can, like this, you can build a $1 million portfolio. These are easy things. It all starts with one. And then when you look at the payouts, again, these are time value adjusted payouts that you'll be able to live off in the future in 30 years. These are really great amounts. If you have a $2 million portfolio, you could pay yourself $140,000 per year. And if you inflation protected, that's $84,000 per year. That's a great pension, guaranteed. Well, not relatively guaranteed if we just use a statistical data set. So these are great things that everyone on this call can do. So I always start with this to show that everyone on the call can do this. And the pure value in this is time. Time is the true currency in all of this. So why did I buy a condo in Canary District? So I bought in this area in 2017. The highlights of the area, it's a 35-acre master plan community. There's park space and amenities, connectivity, retail and community, landscape for the urban family. Big highlight for me down there. I'm excited to talk about that point. Future upside, and there's still value in this compared to the resale market in the core. So talking about the park space and amenities and also the master plan, the 35-acre master plan, this is the Canary District site. So when we are looking at this map, you can see part of it, there's an 18-acre Corktown Common Park. That's already built. That is there. That's set. I've spent time in it. This was actually the site of the Pan Am Games originally, and that's what spurred this master plan community development. So you have this 18-acre green space. You have an 82,000 square foot YMCA already established. You have your local community center built. It's a gateway to a 200-hectare Don Valley Trail system and park. So that's just right at the mouth of Corktown Commons Park. That's right there, your green space. And Lake Ontario is your next door neighbor. So when we look at what the future holds in this post-COVID world, green space is something that's incredibly important. And a lot of the characteristics that I see in the Canary District, I also see in the Galleria development that Kyle and I purchased in as well. That's in its beginning stages. Canary is farther along. So you have this great park space and amenities, and in our post-COVID world, people are going to be looking at, well, I need to get outdoors. Where can I get out of my smaller living space? It's going to be very important for individuals. And it's very rare to get this park space in downtown Toronto. And this literally has it at its doorstep right here. And then connectivity. So this actually flows in to partially to your future upside as well. But when we look at the connectivity, it's actually well serviced for public transportation. So you have Cherry Streetcar currently at your doorstep. This was the first streetcar extension in over a decade to happen. So you have the Cherry Streetcar, which right at your doorstep. You can take that flows in on along to the King Streetcar line. You can take that right into downtown, but you're also only a 20-minute walk to Union Station, the financial core. So you can easily get downtown. You also, from on the future upside, it is there is scheduled to be a future Metrolinx GoTrain stop in this location, and there's also a future Corktown Subway stop on the Ontario line. So these are future added transportation aspects that are going to be coming and servicing in this area. So this gives you some future upside. And a point that I didn't include on here, but is definitely relevant, is you have easy access to the Gardiner Expressway and the DVP. And it was really interesting. So the unit I bought in Canary Block, which was the third building, I bought a 2-bedroom. We got a parking spot with it. And that parking spot rented for $225 per month, which I was very, very surprised at. But it is a location where people will use Canary as a potential bedroom community, in that they may not work right downtown. They may want access to right downtown, but they also want access to the GTA. And you do have the highway infrastructure at your doorstep here. So I was very surprised when I got $225 per month, and there was a scarcity of parking in the Canary Block building. So something that was really interesting to me in that.
We have seen quite a few people actually interested today in buying small units, just so that they can have that crash pad while they're having the other unit or house, out in the GTA or further communities.
Great. That's actually an excellent point. Not even included in there. So we have seen an exodus from Toronto this year, and that threw everything off. I'm not going to get into the whole thing about why I'm not worried about that. I think anyone on this call is not here to go why should I invest in Toronto? I think they're specifically interested in development. If you're wondering about that, then you can watch one of our other videos on buy the dip or profit on the recovery videos. I'll include that in the recap email it sends out if you do have any questions in regards to why you should be investing back in downtown. But that's a whole nother conversation. But that's a great point, Kyle. This is strategically advantageous location for anyone that's went out to the east end. So anyone that's moved out of the core, they do want to maintain some sort of foothold in the downtown because they do know downtown's going to come back, and they do miss the lifestyle that Toronto can have, that Toronto has to offer. And we do see them buying their Pierre de Terres downtown. Now, because this has easy access right off the DVP, and you're strategically located right beside the distillery district, which we'll get into, this is a great location for anyone that's looking for that second home. And we just sold recently a Pierre de Terre in this area for this exact reason. It was someone that lived in Brooklyn, Ontario, and they needed a crash pad for downtown Toronto. And because Brooklyn is located just north of Whitby, Oshawa area, this was perfectly strategically located for them for when they came into the city during the week. They could easily get into this area, boom, done. So yeah, that's not even a point I bring up, but a very strategically located for that Pierre de Terre individual. But also you have the retail and community being developed. So this is very exciting. The grocery stores, a grocery store for the area has finally been announced. Marcello's is opening in Canary Commons. Canary Commons is the building that's currently under construction, scheduled for occupancy this year in 2021. So on the ground level there, you're going to get a brand new grocery store to anchor this area. So as the neighborhood continues to develop, you're getting more of that amenity and retail space to service the individuals living there. And this is going to be a major hub for that area for grocery store activity, because Previous to this, your closest grocery store was a No Frills, which was at Sherbourne and Front Street. So now you're getting a high-end grocer coming into your neighborhood. And whenever I've showed properties to prospective end users, or we've had renters, they're always looking, well, where am I going to buy my groceries? Because, well, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, roofs over heads, food, and warmth. So the next thing they're going to be looking for is, where am I going to be able to feed myself? Where's the food? So you got the new grocer. You have restaurants. There's a brand new restaurant opening in Canary Block. And why I know this is that they had to move the car that I had rented in the parking spot. They needed to move it because they needed to do work on the above my parking spot to install various things for the new restaurant coming in. There's other various restaurants in the Canary District already set up. And by the way, we talk about restaurants. This happened. This was going on in December. So we do know that COVID has had a horrific impact on restaurants, but there are new restaurants opening in this neighborhood because they know that there's population currently existing there and they're under service on the restaurant side. So we have new restaurants opening in this area to service this growing population, which is very exciting as well. So you have that retail and community. You're beside Distillery District. So for everything the Distillery District has to offer, made a little typo there. Again, I was busy with the T's and the Y's, didn't really have time to proofread this. You have movie nights in the Corktown Commons Park as well. So Corktown Commons Park is that 18-acre park. So various community events go in there, but in the summer they do movie nights on the big grassy knoll, an inflatable movie screen going in there. So it's a real sense of community and the retail space that goes in here as well. And then that flows into the urban family. Now, this may be an interesting picture. People may be thinking, well, why post this picture? One of the things that I love about Toronto are sidewalks. It may seem like the weirdest thing. So when COVID hit, my wife and I, like anyone else, you kind of look at, well, what are my other options for living? And I looked at the Mineola neighborhood in Mississauga, Oakville. Oakville was a hard no because I got in traffic one day. I'm like, there's no way this is happening. But one thing I noticed, there's no sidewalks. There's no sidewalks in these neighborhoods. And it was so weird for me. There was actually a neighborhood in Etobicoke we looked at as well. And the Etobicoke neighborhood, we actually took the kids there and we walked in the streets and walked the neighborhood. And there's no sidewalk. I have a 1 and 3-year-old. So it was the weirdest thing for me to be walking on the street, stroller, 3-year-old on the street. I'm like, this doesn't make me feel comfortable. There's no sidewalks. So this picture here, not only do they have sidewalks, but they have a front street promenade. It's 19 feet wide, huge sidewalks, perfect for COVID distancing, but also for strollers. And for the individuals that are looking to live downtown, you're not taking a stroller on Yonge Street. That's not happening. If you're an urban family, this is going to be the perfect neighborhood for you. So Front Street Promenade, if you go down there, massive wide sidewalks, 19 feet wide. Future Toronto District School proposed for the area. So if you think of what recently opened up in the City Place neighborhood, there's a brand new school that just opened up this year to anchor that west side. They're also doing something similar on this side, putting a school to anchor the east side, the growing families that are moving in there. As I mentioned about movie nights, so you have huge family gatherings in Corktown Common Park. You have that green space, playgrounds and more. I really see this area, and when I did it in 2017, I saw this area as what Liberty Village could have been. This is a fully master planned community. You have huge input from Waterfront Toronto. You're not just going to see random buildings going up here. Meticulously planned in this area, which falls, again, under Waterfront Toronto. And then the last point, very relevant, we did a big video on this as well. The price gap is growing between condos and freehold. If anyone's been trying to buy freehold, whether it's in Toronto or in suburban areas, the pricing is just going crazy. So if you were to go, Alex, I want to buy a house in Toronto, it'd be like minimum 1.5 for a dump now. You're going to be paying 1.5 for a dump. Or you want something done, we're getting closer to $2 million now. Not everyone can afford that. That takes hard capital. So what ends up being the option? Well, condos ends up being the option. So again, where's that urban family gonna live? Are they gonna live on Yonge Street? Again, you're not taking a stroller on Yonge Street. It's just not happening. So you want an area that's close to downtown, close to green space. You can easily get to work and back to spend time with your family. And then you want that environment where you feel taking your kids safe to go outside. This is what this neighborhood has to offer. It's perfect for the urban family. And then when we look at the future upside, so this is where again, when we're analyzing everything, well, what's the bump in the area that's going to do us great? Well, EAST Harbour. I've actually bought. We got Distillery District. We got Canary Block. We got Riverside. And we got 2 condos at Wonder Condos. Basically, I bought 4 condos that basically surround the west side, north side, and east side of this future EAST Harbour development. It's a 60-acre site that's going up right beside Canary District. It's a secondary downtown hub. It's going to be space for 50,000 jobs. It's not a residential development. It's an office and retail development. It's on the old Unilever soap factory site. You'll see it when you're on the DVP. It's also going to anchor future transit. So for those that don't know, Union Station, in regards to its capacity for actual trains, is nearly full. They can't put any more trains into Union Station. There just isn't the space. So this is going to be your secondary anchor hub coming out of transit in the downtown core. And this is going to happen in EAST Harbour, which is the neighbor to Canary District. Again, this is not a residential development. This is an office retail transit development. The residential development is happening around this area. And this is your location that's right beside the secondary downtown hub. So I liken the station aspect to, let's say you go into New York. We all know Grand Central Station, but there's also Penn Station as well. Think of this as your Penn Station. So Grand Central is our Union Station. Then you have your secondary transit hub for downtown. This will be your location just off to the east.
And I personally believe in this area as well. I have a condo at Canary. It wasn't available at the time, but I invested in Riverside back in 2015 too, which is in this central area and is going to benefit from all of this as well. So
you made so much money on that condo. Couldn't buy it.
Yeah, Alex literally called me up. It was Sunday morning. He's like, "Hey, want to buy a condo?"
Yeah, I would have bought it myself. Couldn't do it. And for those on the call, why couldn't Alex buy the condo? Well, Alex was getting married, was closing on a house and closing on an investment condo, and he didn't want financial stress in regards to where his deposits were coming from. So I do have my limits as well. So I called Kyle up that Sunday. You want to buy a condo, and this is actually a good teaching story because it shows you how fast sometimes you got to act on this. Call Kyle up on the Sunday. Like, Kyle, you want to buy a condo? He's like, yeah, okay. And we had talked about the site. He wasn't completely, he knew about the site, but he had some interest. So called him up. Do you want to buy this condo? He's like, yeah. He's like, how long do I have to decide? I'm like, now. He's like, I'm with my in-laws. Give me 5 minutes. Call me back in 5 minutes. He's like, I'm in. Left his in-laws at home, drove to the site, wrote the check, signed the agreement. And oh man, you've made so much money on that condo. Like that's just crazy.
It's been a good return. But it shows the potential of this area. There was nothing really around there at that time. And it's believing in what's happening. And even more development has come to this area and location as well. So it's even better than when I made that initial investment.
I think you've I think it's over doubled in value.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Guys, he bought a 2-bedroom for like $350,000 in downtown Toronto. So yeah, that's all that needs to be said.
But there is still more future upside for this site.
There's still more future upside. So 350, he's at 700 still for a 2-bedroom. So at least 700 now at that 2-bedroom. So the other point, this is one of the nuggets that I always knew about it, but I never really talked about it before. But people don't really realize, or maybe we realize more now because you see the cranes there now. the future upside of the Portlands. So just south of this area, the big spotlight was put on it with when you had Sidewalk Labs, the sister company to Google, or under the Google banner, the ABC banner, whatever you want to call it. Now that development isn't happening anymore, but no issue with that. But what if you look south of the Gardner Expressway, you'll see massive development. You see dredging. You're like, what's going on over there? Well, what they're doing is they're basically, it was a flood protection land for the downtown location. What they're doing is they're naturalizing the mouth of the Down Valley River system and really reclaiming this land. So what is happening with this massive development where the governments have joined, they're doing it's $1.25 billion worth of infrastructure development just south of the Gardner Expressway and DVP. And what that does is once they make that investment, it'll open up 400 hectares of space to develop. And to give you an idea how big that space is, it's as big as downtown Toronto from Spadina to Parliament Street, front to College Street. It's one of the largest waterfront developments in the world, that land. So where future development's going, if we just follow the natural progression, you don't have land anymore to develop west. You have a little bit of a corridor left south of Wellington, from Front to about Liberty Village, which all that land is sold as well. So you have a little bit of land there, but other than that, you don't have any more land to develop west. West is pretty much done for development of land in the downtown core. So your next space of development is actually the east, which now development's going to push east, which we're seeing now, not only with this residential in regards to, first it was Distillery District, then we had Canary District, and we're talking about East Harbour, and then to the south, you have the largest waterfront, not the largest, it's the largest waterfront development in North America, one of the largest in the world. You have the infrastructure being built to unlock that whole site. And what you are now is Canary District is perfectly centered in between those areas. So you have Canary District. Then if I just go west, I have the East Harbour, secondary downtown core. To the south, I'm going to have this future Portlands area. And then to the west, I have the existing downtown as we know it. So you can live here and get to all these neighborhoods with your old, reliable two legs. And you're going to have the transportation infrastructure as well. So I add this in here. You got to think forward. So we started this presentation showing, okay, I look at things, the value of my portfolio 30 years out. I'm not saying that this is going to be 30 years, but if there's going to be massive transformation in this area over 10 years, that's when the Ontario line is going to be done, 10 years. That's when you'll have East Harbour up and roaring. So if you look at that perspective, things get exciting. And if you look at in Canary, you're looking at a 4-year build time. Realistically, these projects are complete in 2025. Time can really move quickly on these in regards to the development. Hey, if we go back to the condo that Kyle bought in Riverside Square, phase 4, I believe, is the phase you bought in. I believe Jilly's was still Jilly's, a strip club. Now you have this beautiful Broadview Hotel. I remember when I first moved to Toronto in 2005, mutual friend of ours, Peter, and I looked at a townhome on Logan for under $200,000. The reason it was so depressed, A, it was in terrible condition, but B, right around the corner is where the Hells Angels had their clubhouse. So that's when the East End, Leslieville, Riverside was a rough and tumble area. It wasn't really an area you wanted to be in. Now it's one of the most desirable areas for young families to buy a freehold home in on the East End. So you see this transformation. So these timelines may seem far out, but they're not really, because I can think of key moments when things have changed in all these areas. Heck, the area I live in right now, the Junction, I'm High Park Junction, whatever you want to call them, kind of in the center of it all. That was under prohibition, I think, till 2003, 2004. You couldn't even open a restaurant with a liquor license in that area. And now we've seen a massive transformation of that area. Breweries all over the place. It's a destination point that people want to be in. So we're seeing these transformation of these areas happen.
We saw that too in West Queen West with the Drake Hotel.
Oh, West, that was the first condo we bought in. Yeah.
Yeah.
You still see people doing drugs in the street.
Toronto.
Yeah. And that was our first investment and doubled in value when we bought there. So, I added this slide as well as follow the money and the people. So when we look at the average salaries of the area, the median household family income that is $108,000. So people are making money in this neighborhood. And we saw a 52% increase in the population between 2011 to 2016. So what we said in previous presentations, we're in the business of selling roofs over heads. So we want to, make sure that the population is growing and this area is growing. So that means they'll need more roofs. And when we look at the income, they can afford to buy these roofs as well. And we look for value. So Canary Block, this is the building I own in. We always like giving examples of things that I've done so we can be nice and transparent. So the Canary Block, the average PSF in this building's 1 year old, is $1,131. So that's in the resale market. That's what you're looking at for your average PSF in this building right now. Now, in other developments we've seen launch, we've seen builders price in a significant amount of profit, future profit in those areas where you're looking at the PSF and you're going, wow, that I can get something much more affordable on the resale market. These numbers seem way out of whack for me. It's not the case in this area. We see value in regards to the resale market to the pricing at Canary House. So when I opened that up, I did the analysis. Typically, historically, you've seen the pre-construction market sell for $150 more per square foot than the resale market. And then lately, we've seen instances where it's been $300 to $400 more per square foot than the resale market. Here, we're really aligning closely to what the resale market numbers are. So the average in the building is around 1,200. So when I just did the math here, the 18 units and divided by the average PSF per unit, we got to 1,200. Smaller is going to sell for a higher PSF. Larger is going to sell for a lower PSF. But you are getting in regards to the pricing very close to current resale values in the area. So we see that as a tremendous benefit to individuals because the builder hasn't really priced in that much profit to future valuations in the area. So that's always a key thing that we look for as well. And then from a capital outlay perspective, they have a very impressive deposit structure for Canary House, which is the building which is just opened up to launch yesterday. So it's $5,000 on signing, balance of 5% in 30 days, 5% in 150 days, 5% in 600 days, and then 5% on occupancy, which is expected to be in 2025 realistically. So what the advantage is we've always talked about this, not always talked about this, but we talked about this in past webinars, that you can actually no longer profit on the dip. The profit on the dip opportunities, which we were discussing in November, December, those are gone. The resale market is back. Condos are in multiple offers. So now it's all about profiting on the recovery and still taking advantage of these great deposit structures when you have them in projects that are priced competitively. So the rental market is still terrible right now. Because we actually need bodies to come back, and bodies won't come back until we have vaccinations and things opening back up again. So if you were to buy something on the resale market now, which has come back, there is no dip in the market anymore, you are going to pay close to early 2020 pricing, but you are getting 2016 rent, absolutely terrible rent. Here, you don't have to worry about getting a mortgage on the property being cash flow negative. And you only need to put 15% down, and you're not dealing with getting a tenant and the situations that come with that. So really you're able to profit on the recovery, buying in a project, setting in a price point that you expect to go up due to the metrics that you're looking at. We like this area. So you look at those metrics and you make that investment, and we expect the price of that property to go up. Next steps for everyone. We're going to send a recap video, which will go at approximately an hour after his. Again, T wasn't working. No T was working. And his is a word, so spell check didn't catch it in this presentation. Will include pricing, floor plans, brochure for the Canary House. You got to pick your top 3 selections by completing your suite request form found in the email. Now I will let everyone know, supply is extremely tight. It's a small building. It's only 208 units. It's very, very tiny, and the builder is not releasing everything. So I will tell people on this call, you will be disappointed. Not everyone is going to get a unit. And the builder will be allocating units out March 1st. So when we send this out, look at the information right away. If you have any questions, book a call with myself or Kyle, and go over that and complete a worksheet so we can get those suite requests in. But not everyone's getting one. I'm just going to put that up front. But there is a silver lining in this. When I was putting this presentation together, I'm like, wow, this has a lot of similarities to another project that Kyle and I worked on that we both invested in, which is actually the Galleria project, which is at DuPont and Dufferin. A lot of the same characteristics that we see here also existed in that project as well. So if you don't get something here, we still see tremendous opportunity in the Galleria project and still at competitive price points. And it is a master plan community with a large green space on the cusp of big transportation networks. And we also see $2 billion worth of development happening in the area from major REITs and pension funds buying in the area. So if you're not able to get something here, there will be opportunities there. So we'll be able to satisfy you in a different way, and we can get into more detail. And again, we have both bought in that project as well, so our money is there too. So we will send that email out. I will open the floor to questions now. If you have any questions, you can ask the question in the Q&A box. How did the rental market in Canary District behave during COVID? Was it stable compared to other parts in Toronto? So I rented my unit. So Canary Block came out during COVID. We have occupancy. So I rented my 2-bedroom with parking for $2,700 per month during COVID, which today that is less. I get $2,500 for that now. Other that was worse. So it did fare better than I would say the overall downtown core, where I saw things renting, let's say at Young in college, our 2 bedrooms there were getting about $2,200 per month. So it did do better than the main street corridors, did maintain some of its value. What about views in the building? Which views are good? Hey, Ron, I'll reply to you directly. My analysis, I know you reached out about that already. There are some structures that are going in. So that's where in the email, I'll confirm which views are exact. I'm not skirting the question. I want to give everyone correct answers. So I want to make sure, just looking at the different heights of the different buildings. So I don't have the full answers on those yet, just because I haven't done that exact analysis on which floors are clear. Your best view is going to be your east view. Sorry, your west view. Heading your west view is your best view. That'll be of the skyline. I just have to confirm. There's a commercial building going up in front, so I just got to look at floor heights. What floor height you have to be to get that clear view. So I'll confirm that in the email with everyone. If there's no more questions here, I'll stop this share. There we go. Again, we'll have the recap email out to you in the next hour, so you can review pricing and floor plans. And again, do that sooner than later. Don't do it on Sunday and then send it to us. Really get this in ASAP to us, and then we'll do our best to secure you a unit. But if not, because again, inventory is extremely tight. We do have other options out there that we have put our own money in that we see as great opportunities as well. So that mimic this site. And guys, the market is booming right now on the resale and on the pre-construction side. So it is the time to get in now before builders start increasing prices and removing incentives. So again, if it's not here, there'll be somewhere else we can do as well. Okay. Thanks so much, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.